Hello, today I'm here with Rene. And Rene, would you like to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about yourself and what life was like before you heard about CDH?
My name's Rene, and I'm the mother of Gregory Zion Couret, and he was born August 3rd, 2005, and he passed away on February 13th. No, I'm sorry. He was born August 3rd, 2004, and he passed away February 13th, 2005. And I was only 25 when I was pregnant with him. So life was, I guess, promising. I was young and I couldn't wait to have a baby. Like, I was always just, my dream was to be a mom. I had other dreams and goals, but that was probably at the forefront of my head. And I was just so happy and nervous when I found out I was pregnant. My situation was not typical because it was an unexpected pregnancy and everything, and I didn't have support. And I I don't know, I just had, like, I guess I was like wet behind the ear. I was just so optimistic about everything. And when I heard of, well, at 20 weeks pregnancy is when they said that something looked like an anomaly. And before they could tell me what it was, they said it was some kind of anomaly to the heart or the lungs, and that they would need me to go see a specialist. And so I was doing internet research, and I'm pretty intuitive. So I had looked up anomaly to the heart or lungs or chest area. And what popped up was either congenital heart disease or congenital diaphragmatic hernia, CDH. And I just felt intuitively it was CDH, the way he was explaining it. And so I kind of did my homework before he even confirmed that that's what it was. So it was definitely like, wow, huge, never heard of it, young, single mom that had the whole world in her hands. My world just flipped upside down in an instant.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. Hearing those words, CDH, is very hard to comprehend. And then when you do Google, there's a lot of misinformation on the web and trying to make decisions going forward. How was your pregnancy going forward after being diagnosed?
So my pregnancy was interesting. I can't remember what they call it now, but it was something where I had way too much amniotic fluid. So I was huge, like my belly protruded. People thought I was carrying triplets at least. There was at least 7 liters of amniotic fluid in there too. And I was just tired, sick, and all of that, so but I was happy, because I knew he was in there safe and sound and alive and everything, and I didn't really know what to expect. I loved being pregnant, but the blog you said you found, I used that to document like everything that was going on, from issues that I was having with his father to the things the doctor was saying to me. And one of the things they told me was that I had to have a C-section. So I'm not sure which blog you found, but one of them was called CDH Birthing. They took that web hosting service down, so it's not up anymore, unfortunately. But that was after the fact that I created that website, because I felt like I was misled, because they told me I had to have a C-section. They told me because I had a amniotic fluid, too much of it, that it would cause problems with him, so I would have to have a C-section. But later I found out that was not true, and there were so many other people that had regular births, even water births, with their CDH babies. And so I think there was like not a lot of information out there. And it was really terrifying to be pregnant and in the dark about so much. And I felt like the hospitals and medical professionals really took advantage of me and my ignorance around the topic.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they didn't know at the time either. So thinking back, like maybe they didn't even know. So I shouldn't just think the worst. But yeah, I'm glad that I had the experience of carrying him and having that opportunity, you know, but it was very scary and traumatic. There's still stuff that comes up to this day. It's very traumatic, the thoughts and the memories of it all.
I imagine it is for you. What happened the day of his birth? You said you were scheduled for a C-section.
Yeah, so they scheduled for the C-section. I had to fast. It was supposed to be 12 hours before, but then they pushed it back to the evening. So I ended up fasting for like 24 hours prior. So I was like really not okay. You know? I was starving, anxious, and you know, we went in and they did the C-section. My OBGYN was the best, and the anesthesiologist was absolutely memorable. And they didn't want to show him to me. They wanted to just whisk him away. But the anesthesiologist pulled down the blue sheet that hangs in between when you're having a C-section. She pulled it down and the doctor held him up. They said he probably wasn't going to cry because of he had the right side CDH and it was blocking his lungs, but he cried. And that was the most special, like, I knew if he could cry, he had a fighting chance because they said he wouldn't cry, you know, and so then they had to whisk him away and I didn't, you know, it's hard. It's not natural to have a baby and it not be able to be with you right after, you know, and then I'm healing from a cesarean, you know, so I had to go to a room and just be there with myself, like waiting for them to tell me anything. Like it was terrifying, you know. But I had my mom was with me and she went to the room where they took him and took pictures, and so she came up and showed me the pictures and everything, and that was like that gave me enough to just be okay.
Did you deliver at the same hospital that he was cared for at?
In San Diego, it's right next door. So I delivered right next door. So you have to go through this whole dungeon hallway, like it's a weird maze to get to the children's hospital. But yeah, so that was cool. And plus I lived in San Diego. So at the time. So San Diego, I can't remember, it was called just San Diego Children's Hospital, but now it's called like Rady's Children, but next door is like Sharp, I believe. At the time, it might be different now, but yeah.
Tell me a little bit how his first week went, how quickly he stabilized or what his journey was like that first week.
So they told me that he wouldn't live past a week, first off. So I remember being wheelchaired to the NICU where he was on a high, like a bed with hooked up to this ECMO machine, which is just so many wires and tubes pumped into his chest and blood. Apparently it's doing the cleansing of the oxygen or something, breathing for him, allowing him to breathe. His eyes were shut. He didn't open them for a while. Like he was just there, just beautiful, laying there, peaceful. And I just tried to enjoy every moment. And, you know, it was definitely hard, but I just I don't know. I just kept believing, and apparently he was a fighter too, because they said he wouldn't live past a week. But after a week, he came off and was able to get a nasal cannula. He was able to. They were able to do surgeries, and he continued to live for a while.
Tell me a little bit
So,
about his surgery. What happened that day?
so they did the surgery to move to repair the diaphragm, move the lung, because with the right side hernia, it means that the pancreas and everything grows into the chest and pushes everything. So his lung, his heart, everything was pushed over to the left. So they had to repair it and put everything where it was supposed to be. And then once they did that, they did a surgery to, I don't remember what order the surgeries were in, but it was just a lot of different surgeries. I'm just like, for a baby to have, so I have to move while we're talking, but for a baby to have so many surgeries, it's crazy to see a baby surviving stuff that we as adults might not even be able to survive. A week later, they were able to put a tube in his tummy, try to feed him, so it was just, it was surgeries after surgeries after surgeries, and one thing after another. It was a lot.
Right. Tell me a little bit more about your journey from when he was born to when he was, to the end of his journey with CDH. Tell me a little bit more about what happened.
So time went on, and he healed a little bit more, and he looked like he was making strides, and the doctors would say that, they think he was going to survive, and he kept growing, and we had plans to take him home, and he was definitely a fighter, he definitely was. And then I was there every day at the hospital, every day minus 2 days, I think. My mom was there. And it was really hard to leave him, and I feel a lot of guilt for certain things. In some ways, I mean, I've healed a lot from that story, but at the time I had the opportunity to be in a movie. It was my first time being able to be in a film, and it was such a big opportunity that my mom was like, you have to take it. I'll be here with him. It's okay, because she was my birthing partner too. So yeah, I took it, I left, and then when I come back, they had wrote on like the intubation, they put tape right here, and it said, "I love you, mommy." Like, like the staff was really sweet, and I met a lot of good people during that time, but he was doing well. And then around the end of the year, during RSV season, I don't know what happened, but he got sick like a couple days before he was supposed to come home. Like, we had got ready for everything, like his beds, and we were ready to take him home. And then next thing you know, he got sick, and they were like, we have to re-intubate him and all this stuff. And I mean, these babies are just so sensitive, they're just so sensitive to anything. You just never know what could set them back.
Right.
And so from there, it seemed to go downhill a bit, and then he would get better. And as months went on, and he's just growing, and his personality's coming out, and I would just walk in, and I remember it clearly. You wash your hands, that smell, still to this day, I can remember the smell of the hand wash. And then you walk in and they turn left and then you walk to the back. At this time, he had a big boy crib and he was hooked up to, you know, all the monitors and stuff. And I would say, "Hey, Gregory, mommy's here." And you would see his foot would just start moving. Like he was so happy. Like he was the happiest baby. And, you know, he would smile so much and laugh. And he thought he had like a little jokester personality. So he would like try to pull things out and then laugh about it. I mean, this is like a 4-month baby, like 4 or 5-month-old baby that's like personality was so strong.
Oh.
So this kid is something else, right? Like he's a fighter, he's funny, he's like, I knew all these great things about him. And like all the doctors and the nurses and the what do you call it, respiratory therapists and physical therapists, they loved him. Like they would just say, he is just so special, you know, and he had relationships with these people that they would tell me stories, you know, about him and everything. So it was really interesting. And I don't know if I'm going too far ahead, but yeah, it was really sad that he kept staying there. And, you know, life continued to go on with me being there, sometimes sleeping on the couches in the waiting rooms. And the doctor came to me in like January and said, here's 2 things, like the end of January. She was like, you need a life. And she's like, no offense, but 2 things are going to happen here. One thing is he's going to have another surgery, come home, and you're going to have to care for him for a really long time. He's going to need a lot of your care, and he's going to possibly be a vegetable for a while. Like you might have a lot, like your life is going to be all about him. Or the other thing is he might not make it, and it's going to be really a hard journey, you know, because these babies do die, you know. She was just being real with me. She was like, so I don't want to see you fall apart and not care for yourself, because apparently I wasn't. I was just there all the time, sleeping on the couches, everything. She said, find something you love, find something, or work or something that you can do to have for yourself as well, you know, just because there's no guarantee of what's going to be the outcome here. But whatever the outcome, it's going to be a long journey and a painful one. And so I actually found a job there at the children's hospital so that I could work and be closer and then go visit him on my break. Yeah. So do you want to ask me another question, or you just want me to keep talking? Because
You can keep talking and sharing.
Okay. And so everything seemed promising. They had planned to do I don't remember the trach. I think it was a trach surgery they had planned to do for him. And he had went to the specialist to get it was some type of scope they put down there to look at everything, and they had planned it out and everything. And can you see me? The lighting's kind of off. And so then also I took the doctor's advice and I actually auditioned for a play at the local college and everything, and I got accepted. And so I was like, okay, everything's cool. But then like a couple weeks later, it was just, he seemed like he was doing okay. And then one day I got a call from the doctor and said that he was taking a turn for the worst and that I needed to come, and, you know, they wanted me to make a decision on whether or not to keep him or take him off of life support or whatever it was. You know, I guess the whole time I didn't really think of all of that as life support. Like I didn't really think of all these wires and tubes and all that as life support, but he was been on life support for nearly 6 months at that, or yeah, 6 months at that point, you know. And so they were like, he's not going well, and you need to make a decision. Either he's going to suffer and die, or you need to just say goodbye and take him. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that decision. I cried and I prayed, and I just said, I prayed to my higher power, and I said, either let him live or take him back where he came from. And I surrendered that, because I can't make that decision. I can't. And I just said, God, you know me, and that's not something I can do. So I need you to make that decision. And the next day they called me and said that his heart stopped and I need to get to the hospital. So it was the universe, God, however you call it, listened and definitely just made that decision for me, because I couldn't have did it. And they were able to keep him alive till I got there. They were able to resuscitate him. But me and my family and like a lot of people in my community showed up, like a lot of people that I didn't know would. And they took him off and let me hold him. So he was alive when I was holding him. They took everything off. So it was the first time I got to see him with no tubes.
Oh.
And I just held him, and, just he died in my arms. So I got to be there during that. I got to be there through the conception, birth, and held him in my arms when he went back to where he came from. So it was definitely a hard experience, but one that, if ever, like, I know people, this is terrifying, but such a blessing, like, to be able to see the cycle of life and death, and you are part of that, and like you get the chance to experience that full circle. Like, it was terrible. It was, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but at the same time, it was such a miracle too.
Yes.
And I see it very spiritually, like he was my angel, and I still to this day, he's with me. He shows me signs of that whenever I need one, and sometimes playfully, like his personality, I can feel it. And when he died,
Your volume happens. Looks like you're.
sorry,
Oh.
can you hear me?
Can hear you now.
Okay. Wall to wall, no seating. Everything was full with people sharing their stories. Even doctors and nurses, respiratory therapists came up to tell their stories of him and how they touched him, like, and how just his spirit helped them heal. Like, it was miraculous for me.
That's precious. How do you share with him? How do you share Gregory's memory with you and your girls? Do the girls know about Gregory?
Yes, absolutely. My oldest daughter, who just turned 8, is very, very close to him. I think she might have known him, in a different, the other side. Like, honestly, I really am spiritual, so I believe stuff like that, because she knows him, who he is, talks about him even when I don't. Like, she tells people about him every chance she gets. My brother Gregory, my baby brother, like, she used to always say, when are you gonna have another baby? Because I want to meet my baby brother again. Like, she would just say that, like, I miss him, Mom. Like, as if she met him. Like, when are you gonna have my baby brother again? Like, you need to have him. And this is crazy but funny. But one time, and I was like, well, because me and her dad, we were married and everything, and then when we got separated and divorced, my oldest daughter, her name is Izzy, she said, I said, well, I don't have anybody to have a baby with right now. So, and also it wouldn't be Gregory because he already came here and left, and she was like, well, you never know. He could come back and, maybe we can just put some bones together and get somebody's hair and make a person for you to get married to and have a baby with. I was her, oh my gosh. And then my youngest daughter is the same, is 5 now, and she has that same kind of imagination. But my youngest daughter believes she was a dog in a past life. So I really believe kids, they know certain things. They're very connected to the spiritual world until they're taught that they're not, But yeah, my 8-year-old is just amazing. I mean, she just tells everything. And one time we were listening to a song from the Frozen soundtrack, Frozen 2, and there's this song about the mother, and I don't know the lyrics right now, but there's a song about the mother and the song in her heart that she never got to sing and stuff, because I don't treasures and things. And one time we were listening to the soundtrack and my daughter Izzy just started crying and she was like, turn it off. And I'm like, why? What's up? So I pulled the car up. Song reminds me of you and Gregory. And so she has this like emotional intelligence that's off the charts. I'm like, how it came out of nowhere. Like, I talk about him sometimes, but not as much. So the fact that she keeps his memory alive a lot of times, and sometimes even with strangers, she'll just be like, guess what? I have a brother. His name's Gregory and he's in heaven.
Oh.
So even as I'm healing and moving forward, and I still think I think of him every day, but not as much, she carries his story and his messages.
That's precious.
To let me know he hasn't gone. He's still here. He's still very much a part of our lives and our family. So
that's very precious that he's still there here with you and the girls, and you see signs of him all around you.
Definitely. They're needed.
Very much needed. Rene, I thank you so much for sharing Gregory's today and helping raise awareness through his story.
Thank you. I hope that I helped, and anybody can reach out if they need support or encouragement or a listening ear. You can find me on Facebook if you want, because I'm also in that group, that CDH group, I think. But, I mean, he would be turning 17 next week, so this is huge. Like, I'd have a teenager right now. I'd have a whole teenager.
Right.
And he'd be so tall. And the interesting thing is when I envision him in the spiritual realm, he's always been a teenager. Like, he's always been like this tall, young man. And so the way I envision him being today is how I've always seen him in my mind's eye in the spirit realm, I guess.
Right.
So it's interesting.